Today we're going to be taking a look at delays, specifically swung delay. This is not a feature that is native to Ableton. However, there's a way we can kind of get around that with some clever audio effect rack trickery. This is a feature that is present in some third-party delay devices like Replica XT by Native Instruments. Soundtoys Echo Boy can do positive or negative swing, which I believe Replica XT only does positive swing values. But yeah, this is a really useful feature, especially for genres like house or UK garage. Sorry, garage. These genres have swung grooves commonly, so generally you want rhythmic elements to kind of fit within that groove. And this is a problem that comes up if you take an element and you put an odd number of 16th notes timed delay on it, because every other tap will kind of be a little bit off from where that swung note should hit. So I'm going to show you a way we can get around that with stock devices. Right now I've just got a little basic groove set up. It's like a house kind of beat, and I've got some chord stabs that I'd like to put some delay on. So here's what it sounds like right now. Nothing fancy, just a little wavetable chord stab with some reverb and some sidechain ducking on it. But now listen to what happens if I put an echo device on here and I set the echo to 3/16 notes, dial in the feedback I want, set the dry wet, etc., etc. Here's what it sounds like. It sounds fine, but notice how on the parts of the groove that are swung in the rest of the track, it sounds kind of like it's being rushed by this echo. So if we use a swung delay, it's basically going to take every other delay tap and just kind of nudge it in time so it fits with that swing. So here's how we can achieve that using stock devices. I've got my echo device set up right here. I'm going to set the dry wet to 100%, and then I'm going to double this delay time. So I'm going to link these together, change the 3 to 6, and then I'm going to group this into a chain, Command G, duplicate this chain, Command D, and make a dry chain, rename to dry. I'm going to call this one odd taps, and then I'm going to call this one even taps. Can't type. Even taps. But this isn't going to work yet. We need to offset the odd taps a little bit so that they hit in between the even taps. So I'm just going to use a stock delay device for this, the one that's called delay, put it on that second duplicate chain, set the feedback to 0%, dry wet to 100%, turn off the filter. It's set to 3. That's fine. That's what we want. And then I'm going to go on this echo device and bring this down to 44%-ish, and then I'm going to set it to equal loudness mode. So now it's going to let that first delay tap through, which is coming out of this delay, and then the subsequent odd taps are going to be coming out of the wet signal of this echo device. So now listen to what this sounds like. So now we need to add the swing. That is where these come in. We can change these values here, these percentage values. These are just like little dragging or rushing offset values. Normally, if we implement these on just like throwing the delay at the end of the chain, these little micro offsets kind of compound over time. So they may sound right on the first delay, but they don't sound good on all the delays after that. But if we only use it on the odd taps, and then since this dry wet is set to 100%, the feedback is set to 0, it doesn't actually apply that offset again as that delay runs through these odd taps. This essentially becomes our swing control amount. So let's set it to maybe positive 11. That's fitting with the groove a lot better. Those odd taps are matching up with the swung parts of the beat. Now let's say the chord stabs fall on the actual swung beats and we want the odd taps to hit on the straight beats. Let's change this to negative 11. That matches a lot better too. So one last thing, kind of a nitpicky thing about this, that first delay tap that's coming out of this delay device and coming through as the dry signal of this echo, that's actually not getting the filter applied that is being applied here. So we could basically just kind of match this filter to fit the shape of this overall. Or we could load in some auto filters and throw it before here, maybe like a low pass and a high pass in sequence, and match them to the filter values of the echo devices. Which that is exactly what I did in my rack version of this. So I made 3 rack presets. I just went with fixed delay times on them because it wasn't quite as easy as I thought it would be to set up a macro that controls the time value of the echo devices and also sets it to exactly half of this, because there's stepped controls that don't quite match up with each other when you scale those macros, it just wasn't quite working. So I made 3 presets. One of them has 1/16 notes, one is 3, one is 5. And then on this odd taps here, I actually set up 2 auto filters to basically just match the contour of this filter curve here. For those of you who may want to try to recreate this, I'm going to throw up these macros here and you can take a look at that, take a screenshot, recreate it yourself at home. But if you're a member of my Patreon, I'm going to throw these racks up on there as soon as I publish this video, so you'll get instant access to those. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward rack. It's got feedback, high pass filter, resonance, low pass filter, resonance. I also mapped up the tape wobble and the wobble type under the character section of the echoes, because I'm always using that to kind of give it some analog character. Feedback amount, the swing amount, and then the dry volume and the wet volume. So here's what this sounds like. So basically exactly what I showed you. It's just a rack version. It's got the mapping set up and it's a nice colorful little interface for you. So there's those macro mappings once again, if you want to take a look at those and recreate it yourself. But that's all I've got for you today. So I hope you found this inspiring. Hopefully it helps you realize that third-party VSTs are not always necessary. I will always try to show you free or cheap ways to do things using stock devices that help you get around or avoid paying for third-party devices, because a lot of them are just selling you signal flow configurations that you can achieve pretty easily right out of the box. So that's it for this video. Go make some music.